welcome everybody. We are here ready to take our next lesson. We are going to be doing lecture number 6 of Brandon Sanderson's a writing course that he does with BYU. So I hope you guys are ready. Grab your notebooks and stuff, get your pens ready, all that good stuff. I'm going to let my friends and co-hosts introduce themselves. We're going to start with the fabulous Becca, and then Esther, the wonderful, will go after. Take it away, Becca.
Hello, my name is Becca C. Smith. I'm going nice and slow. I have a YouTube channel, which I actually have not been posting on because I did go to Scotland for a week, which was so fun. And then I got COVID, which was also fun. But now I'm better and I'm back. So I should be getting back to a regular posting schedule again. Because I was doing those giveaways every week, and I'm all like, I'm sorry guys, I cannot give anything away right now. I'll make up for it later though. But yeah, I am currently working on a book it's fictional, but it is loosely based on my crazy, insane family. And I make that sound like it's light and fluffy when it's like murder and like true crime. But it's I'm getting there. I know. I realized like my tone was all like, oh, my crazy family. Axe murderers, you know what I'm saying. But actually it's going pretty well. And I'm in the middle of drafting, or not drafting. I did the drafting. I'm in the middle of editing I can't say like second to third draft. And then once I'm done with that, then I'll be able to give it to my CPs. But I just kind of want to make it a solid draft that I'm somewhat happy with before I give it for notes and stuff. But that is me. How was that? Did I talk long enough?
You did good. You did good.
And like any other study group, I was the one in the corner eating the meal. I am Esther Marie Andujar. I'm a Puerto Rican writer aspiring to be a hybrid career author. I do have a YouTube channel that right now is mainly live streams on Fridays. Don't know if that's gonna change. Subscribe to find out. I don't know. I do write under the fantasy umbrella, and I do. I'm also an indie published author under a non-disclosed pen name, and I write contemporary romance with a good amount of heat. And I think that is it for now, because I always have like a million things. Cooking or burning or something behind me. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you are here on my channel. I'm Nia the Vixen of Fiction. I was on vacation. I am semi back from vacation. That's why you see me dotting here and there. I will be back, I think, next week with a regular writing sprints. I might be on Twitch this Friday. I don't know. I can't say. I've got family in town, so as much as I'd like to be, I don't know if I will be, but I am easing my way back into things. I will be back to streaming though. Night Write definitely next week, and then for most of August, then I go on a little vacation, so I will be going to California. Fingers crossed I'll get to see a couple of friends. I'm excited, so I'm really hopeful. California is really long, so it's like you think you're going to where people are at.
Land. I'm going to be there.
Yeah,
so.
I will be very close to Becca, but I'm not as close to my friend Laura as I was hoping. But we're gonna try and dot down there and pay our good friend Laura a little visit. Fingers crossed everything works out. But I'm going to Disney. We're gonna do the family's gonna do the t-shirts and the whole thing. Don't hate us, and everybody's got to. Sometimes you just gotta experience things. You just gotta do it. And we have our first grandbaby, possibly only grandbaby in this economy. Like we're all just pouring into this one kid.
Oh. Gonna be spoiled. Good.
Yes, very.
Yes.
So, but we're looking forward to it. So I will be back in August, but I will have a little break, in August. So, other than that, yeah, I write stuff, I draw stuff. I like to do crafty things. I want to start doing more crafty things. I've been talking to some of my friends about some ways that I can make craftier things happen aside from just the writing, which I do love the writing. So the writing will stay, but it won't be, my channel won't be solely focused on writing. I'll be drawing and making my little book nooks and things like that. So we have some fun. I want to be as crafty as my good friend over here. She sews things. I can't sew for anything. I can, like, what is that? Like iron stitch?
Oh, yeah, that works. So
It does work. I've learned. As this person who cannot sew, you do learn. And Esther is a whiz with the cooking, and I do like cooking too. So Esther makes the fun stuff because all the stuff that we're like, oh, we never get that. Esther's like, we eat that all the time. What are you talking about?
It's like they're like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, that is just a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, maybe once a year.
Oh. Yeah, if I'm lucky, once a year, more like once every 5 years.
Yeah. We definitely gotta do a retreat or something where we all get to cook for each other and have some fun.
Yes,
that'd be so nice.
The spot.
Yes,
we either need a big house or we need to do like a tour writing retreat.
Yeah,
be like, okay, we're gonna go to this section and we're gonna meet this amount of our friends, and then we go to this other section. We made this amount of friends, like toured.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be so fun. The writing retreat tour. Just hop on a train or a plane. Pick your vehicle and let's do it.
Amazing. Oh.
All right. So we are going to be doing lecture 6. This one, it says that, that's the timer. The timer says countdown timer. The lecture, though, is customizing your character.
Right.
So, and it's an hour and 15. So I'm very, very invested in this because I don't know that my characters are as strong as I want them to be once I put them on paper. They're strong in my head.
Yes.
And then I start writing them and I think they sound cheesy or they're too over the top. And I want to dial it back. And then I make them kind of sound bland because people don't really want their characters to sound normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like finding that balance between, for me, I have a hard time finding the balance between this sounds like a real person, but also making them sound interesting and exciting enough that people get actually invested in the characters, because you need more than just like, ooh, you made a really cool place and you have this really cool thing happening to them, but I really don't care if these people live or die. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, I think I'm at that stage too, where it's like, okay, I've got the story, I've got the arcs, I've got everything, but like, have I got that? Like, I'm just curious as if he's going to talk about like personalities and like, and how in depth can we get into the character to make them like 3-dimensional and stuff. So
yeah. And I feel like last week's was really helpful. Not last week's, but the last lecture, lecture 5 was really, really good. Did you get a chance to go back and see that one?
I didn't. Now you're making me feel bad.
Yes. After you watch this, definitely.
Wait, was that the one where it was like the difference between movies and books? No, I thought that was because I remember when we were looking at it, I was all like, "Oh, I should skip that."
No, it's the one where you talk about creating proactive, relatable, and capable characters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was very, very helpful.
I will definitely be looking at that one.
Yeah, like I have so many. I have ridiculous notes. But yeah, he talked about capability. I wanted more on capability, but he really honed in on like making your characters relatable, their flaws, their arcs, all that good stuff. So I'm I feel like this is gonna dovetail into
For
that
sure.
too.
Okay, I will definitely watch that
I'm
then.
like holding my face as neutral as possible because again, I do see them prior coming here because I do need
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
to
you need to
listen to
watch
it
it and
again.
then.
And I'm like, I don't want to give anything away. I just
Oh
want to see
no.
their raw
Okay.
reactions.
Okay. Okay. Can I ask you, was last week still your favorite though?
Yes.
Okay, so
But also, I am looking forward, and I put it on my playlist because it's not in the public playlist. The next lecture they mention is one on romance and indie publishing, and it's not on the main playlist. It
Oh.
is linked on the comment section of this video because it's an unlisted um,
Oh.
lecture, and I think they only share it on his website.
Whoa. Okay.
okay, so we'll just have to go to
So
another.
I when I finished, I was like, okay, I'm gonna search for it and I'm gonna add it to my list.
Yes.
Nice.
Drop
Okay.
drop it to me in the private chat. And
I will.
we'll put it for everybody to go to his website to watch it when we do that one in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but definitely the last one, the proactive, relatable, and capable character is still my favorite.
all right. All right. So come on, Brandon. You did something good last week, so this one's good. We need this one to be good. All right, so let me share the timer. Nope, that's not the right timer. So now I gotta do it again. Share screen. There we go. All right, so the timer is going to be at the minute marker for you guys. Also, if you're watching on the replay, if you can't watch both at the same time, just watch the lecture and then come back. We're gonna be watching at regular time, even if we watch it sped up. The timer is still going to be at the time with the lecture. So do with that as you may, and that way, if you need to, if you can only have one screen going, just come back and join us for the chat afterwards, and you'll be perfectly fine. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Also, if I click off screen, it's because I'm going to get something to drink, but I'm still paying attention. All right, in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Play. Okay, is everybody done with the lecture? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Ooh, let me pull this down. Uh, all right. Well, what did we think?
I was good. I mean, for me, like you guys said, I think I need to watch the video from last week, or the video before, whatever it was,
Yeah.
um, because I feel like he did mention it a couple times, like that
Yeah.
sort of he's adding to it. So, but I still really enjoyed it. Like I got a lot out of it, and actually, I was happy with his references this time because he was just referencing himself, and I knew all those, and I
You're
know
like,
he did those right. I was all like, "Oh yeah, that's correct. Okay, I don't have to get mad at that."
yeah. I felt like this was a good compliment to last week's because he did put on his little whiteboard, which was hard to his handwriting's so hard to read. But he put that what he was going over. So he kind of like just touched on it and more like let everybody ask questions. And so that was good. And it was a lot of referencing back to what he talked about in lecture 5. So it kind of dovetailed off of it. Lecture 5 was really good. So
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go and watch that. Yeah, I did like how it's so funny because I think in general, when someone says something like iconic, I didn't think of I like the way he defined it because I my brain, when you say iconic, it just means, oh, amazing. Like they're this
yeah, he's the
incredible
best
character.
character ever.
They're
Yeah.
so iconic.
Mhm.
So I really liked that he's like, no, it actually means this. Like, that they don't really do much of a change, that they have to kind of stay who they are so that people know who they are, recognize them, especially like the Star Trek comparison. Like you can watch any episode and Spock, Bones, Kirk, and just because they're
Mhm.
iconic. And I really like that because sometimes I feel like my stories have characters like that, and then I worry that, oh God, did I not give them an arc, or like maybe I should have like made them change more or learn more, but that it's okay. And then when he gave the reference to his own book, Elantris, I was
Yeah.
all like, okay, yeah, he's right. That character didn't change at all. Like, but I enjoyed the book. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I like that.
And I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of reflective with real life. There's all of us can think of at least someone that we know that hasn't changed at all, for good or bad. But
Yeah.
there's people that they're just who they are
Hmm.
from the moment they develop their personality until the day they die.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have that kind of character once in a while. Maybe you're the type of author that every book you're gonna have that iconic character that's gonna
Yeah.
be like a staple
Right.
You're
of that
Perot.
book.
Yeah, you're Perot like Agatha Christie has.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're right. He's iconic,
Yeah.
but you know what he's gonna do. You know what he has a purpose. You know what's gonna happen when
Yeah.
he comes in.
It's like Jack
And it's very
Reacher,
true.
or those, you know what I mean? It's like Jack Reacher, he's gonna come in, he's gonna kill a bunch of
Yeah.
people, and he's gonna save somebody.
And
Yeah.
it's true because not everybody can have even in our real lives, everybody's not having an arc at the same time. So,
Mhm.
um, if we take any slice of our life that someone's going through something, and this is the story of our life with our friends or our family, a thing might be happening to one of the friends. They're the one who's having the arc, but we're
Right.
just there with them, being whoever we are, based on the arc that happened when maybe I was 18 and maybe when Becca was 20,
Right.
that we had our arc. Maybe we'll have another arc in the future, but right now this person is having their arc, but we're
Yeah.
part of their
Mhm.
story in some way. So it
Yeah.
makes perfect
Yeah.
sense that not everyone's having this same arc at the same time, you know.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
we're all living in that overarching arc of the story. We're living in that,
Right.
but.
But sometimes, yeah, exactly. I liked how he said, like, sometimes, like, the story is more plot driven in that sense, because it's like especially like mysteries and things like that. The point of you wanting to read this book is because, like with Agatha Christie, it's all like you want You want to see a murder and you want to see how he figures out how he finds the murderer. Like that is the
Mhm.
purpose of reading the book. It's not to be like, wow, look how much these people have grown. Because
Mhm.
there's other books for that, and
Yeah.
other books when you're in the mood for that, when you're just like, I don't want any plot. I just want to live this person's life. And, so
Yep.
I appreciate that because I feel like we get too bogged down in rules of like, you have
Yeah.
to have the arc, you have to have the this, you have to have the that. And that's just not true. There's so many examples where it's not true. And they're great popular books.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
what is this character's purpose? Sometimes the character's purpose is just to be that person that's just
Yeah.
hanging on and
Yeah.
giving some comedic relief. And I
Yeah.
really okay, Shrek is so good. Okay. I really loved his Shrek reference because Donkey is so annoying. Can you imagine having a donkey in your life? You'd
I
be like,
know.
oh
Yeah.
my god,
He's
but
so
Donkey is the
annoyingly
best.
good.
Yeah.
Yes, but he's
Yeah.
the best because he's not annoying us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that is a
Yeah.
good.
I
Yeah.
also like that he mentioned that a lot of the nuances about creating characters depends on genre
Mhm.
because it's reliable on reader expectations and that is defined by the genre that you're gonna work on. So
Yeah.
there's not a single universal rule to construct characters because every genre has a different expectation,
Yeah.
different set of quote unquote rules that you have to be like, okay, this is the genre that I'm writing, and this is usually the characters that we see in this genre. Am I gonna subvert that or gonna commit to that? And
Yeah.
then you build your character. Also, you build your character in a way that makes sense to you. I like that he's like, I am very like, I don't plot my characters that much. Kind of like he discovers them. And I'm like, that's me.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
I was like, this is why writing short romances is even harder because I have less amount of words to discover my characters.
Right.
Which in
Yes.
full length,
Yeah.
I have all the words that I want, and then I'll just delete what I
Yeah.
don't need. But in short, like anything 25,000 under, it's really hard to discover a character with that little amount of words.
Right.
Yeah. I
And
I'm very much
I
the
still cannot
same.
find be like, oh, I need to construct it so it functions. I'm like, no, I just can't. I need to throw them in a situation and be like, so what are
Yes.
you gonna do?
What are
Who
you gonna
are
do?
you?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I'm very much that way because I world build a lot. I like to have kind of my world fleshed out. So I'll ask myself, okay, now who in this world is this thing that's about to happen? Who's going to be affected and how are they going to be affected? So I'll just drop some people. I don't really know that much about them usually, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll have the basics like are they part of a family? Maybe I'll make one of them tall, one of them short. I'll have some basics and I kind of want them to go through it like if I was going through it, like if I was in this world, or if my neighbor was in this world, or my dog was in this world. What
Yeah.
would they do? And then the next thing that I think is going to happen, like the sun's about to explode. The next thing that's going to happen, are they going to be part of finding a solution to the sun exploding, or are they going to be part of the people that are trying to get out of here? you know
Yeah.
uh, so I like to put my people in the world, and so I'm discovering who they are, and I keep a chart. I always tell people because I have my world building, my outline, and all of that stuff, and I do have character charts. So as I discover who they are, I start filling it out so that I don't forget and then change something at the end because but that
Right.
still sometimes happens by accident. But I try to, if I remember, I have my character thing sheet. It's not filled out except for maybe that one person has brown hair and freckles, and they're tall. That might be all I know in the beginning,
Right.
or are they educated? I might say if they're educated or they're not educated, or maybe that's something that's happened in their past that I can say might affect how they're, like he said, what's good, what in their past affects how they're reacting to what's happening now. So if they have had something traumatic happen in their past, I might jot that down, like, oh, I'll say that maybe their sibling passed away or something like that, and that maybe that will affect their decisions going forward, when they're trying to save their friends, or maybe they're trying to save their only remaining sibling. You know
Right.
what I mean? So these things are going to affect them, but I don't know exactly how they're going to react all the time until I get there. And usually I know where my story is going to end. Either the sun's going to explode or everybody's going to leave the planet before the sun explodes. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
know what I want to have happen. I've got to get my character now that I've brought them in there
Yeah.
to that spot. And I don't always know, how they're going to react. Are they
Right.
going to be very hero-y,
Yeah.
or are they going to be in denial the whole time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I usually have a little bit more of my characters compared to Nia, just because I'm like, I need to know enough about the setting to know how it functions. So when I throw characters, I know how the setting is gonna conflict with the character, and I also need to know enough about the character to intuitively know what kind of decision they're gonna make. So,
Mhm.
like Nia says, if they have siblings, are they close to their siblings? Are
Mm-hmm.
they do are they do they may not have any relationship with their siblings. They may be the sibling parent of the younger siblings. And knowing all of that, now I know whatever situation they come forward in the setting, I know how they're gonna kind of like react because their backstory kind of like influence how they're gonna walk around the world. But
Yeah.
I cannot be like, oh yeah, they are this type of person, and at the end of this story they're gonna be this type of person. I'm like, no, this is who they are right now, and they just gonna confront the world, make decisions, and we will see where we end.
Yeah. And I do
They
try
may
to,
stay the same, they may
yeah,
change. Who
I do
knows?
try to think, especially, and I, because we've always been kind of like taught they must have an arc. So I do kind of think, ahead of time, what could some conflicts be? Um, what might get them from here to there, where they either decide I'm going to try and stop the sun from blowing up, do they even have the knowledge to do that, or I'm going to get my sibling to the rocket ship that's going to get us out of here. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I do try to think of what what could be going, because I think, as he was talking about in the lecture, there's that fear that, oh no, I've just had this character that's had no arc. They're just like, oh, the sun's gonna blow up. They're telling us that we have to get to this longitude, latitude where the rocket is, and if you make it there, you get on the rocket. You don't. So then I'm like, so then what would the arc be? Is it just them literally just trying to survive and get there, or is there something else going on,
Right.
where they have to go back and find their sibling, and you're like, oh no, if they go back and find the sibling, are they going to miss the rocket ship,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? So
Right.
I
I
try to
think
think of
in
what
that
could be.
Yeah.
I think in that it kind of like goes back to the previous lecture, because then if the arc is to get to the rocket, is like how proactive they are to get to there, how
Mhm.
capable they are, and
Yeah.
as a human being how relatable they are through that journey.
Yes.
And I
Oh,
this is
so
why I still
good,
like
Esther.
that previous lecture,
Yeah.
because it's just those three things, and knowing that there are dials that you can just keep moving to
Mm-hmm.
build that character. That was just like, that's perfect. I don't need anything else
Yeah.
for a character. Like I
I'm
don't
telling
need
you, Becca,
the
don't
a
let.
hundred questions. I don't need to know their
Yeah.
MBTI. I don't need to know their Enneagram. I don't need to know any of the strengths or whatever other studies are there. No, I just need to know if they're proactive, capable, or relatable. That's it.
And like, yeah, Becca, you got to go watch the
Yeah.
last
I'm
lecture.
definitely.
Like,
Yeah.
literally, as he's speaking, I think with all of us, like, light bulbs were going off, right? I'm like, I need that in my. Literally, it's going in my character sheet now. What
Yeah.
what you talked
Yeah.
about from the last lecture,
I love that.
Yeah.
because I'm like, that that right there. That's going to be helpful. And I like this. I like him doing this as mostly a question and answer. Um,
Yeah.
that was really good because
Yeah.
it gave everybody a chance to kind of like get their follow ups.
Yeah.
Also from the last one, and how it ties in with the iconic character, the personality, the motivation, values, the quirks.
Also, I like the Lord of the Ring reference, not the sexy Sauron, the like creating Sauron to be like this overpowering villain, and then creating Gollum, this more relatable villain, because you understand what corrupted him. You may not understand the ring or Sauron, but you understand the effects of that overpower. And he didn't mention, but I was thinking, is even more genius that we have Gollum for like in the three movies. I will say two of them, and then for a section we got a Smeagol, and that contrast made the character even more relatable, and you feel even more sorry for him. And it's like, I know you're bad, but it's not entirely your fault.
Yeah.
So I feel pity for you.
Yeah.
Because you're bad, but it's not because you wanted to.
Right.
You did a thing, and now it's ruined your life.
The one thing that's always bothered me about Lord of the Rings is aside from turning you invisible and corrupting you, like why does Sauron, like what is the power that it has?
I mean,
this
is the problem with Tolkien. Tolkien magic is very woo-woo.
But there's nothing. There's never ever an explanation. But there's nothing. Like there's nothing special about that ring except that it can give you the juju of Sauron, which is just not even juju. It just makes you corrupt, and then it turns you invisible. Like that's it. That's the only thing.
That's what it is, though. It's the juju.
Yeah,
it's
because I think the other thing is like that's what Sauron does.
But he doesn't.
Corrupts.
Right, but he doesn't need it because he's already gotten all the power and he has all the orcs and he's all the army and whatever. The ring, like, why does he need it? He doesn't need it.
I think he needs the ring to have a physical form. Doesn't he need the ring to have a physical form? Because that's what pulled him.
100% never said that. I mean, that may be true. And you could I'm willing to buy that.
That's my interpretation. Also, I have not read the Silmarillion because it's too long. It's too much.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to know that much about the history of Middle-earth.
It's not very exciting.
Yeah, I'll just stick to the movies and the cliff notes of the books. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll stick to the book and sort of like in between the lines.
I have
so I feel like the in between the lines is like the ring is what kept him having like a physical form.
That is not at all implied, though. But that is Esther implied. And
that's my interpretation. It's not canon, but also what Jocelyn said, the ring also has power over the other ring. So
they never show that. We never see that. I don't see that. Like,
we don't see it.
Not in the books. And not in the movie.
We don't see it, but it gets mentioned with what happened with the 9 men.
Yeah, but what about Galadriel, who's had the ring? It didn't do anything to her. She's been living her life, doing her elf thing, and having.
Isn't she older? I feel she's like older or similar age than Sauron, and I'm like,
yeah, she is.
Yeah. Also, she's a woman.
But she's had that ring forever. And it hasn't
been part of it, though.
What?
Could that be part of it, though? Esther did say, but she's a woman. Like I just see it as this thing that it's like was it like ultimate power corrupts all? It's just this powerful thing that when you
she's not corrupt. Like she's still been living her life as the queen.
Yeah, she's not.
Right, but she's been wearing the ring the whole time.
I also wonder. This is in the movies. I don't remember if it's in the books. But you know when she has that scene with Frodo and she's like, I passed the test, whatever. And I'm like, I feel like, and I haven't finished watching the series, so I don't know what young Galadriel was. But I'm like, I feel like even though she had so much power, it was not like in her heart she never coveted power.
No,
So
I
it was
agree.
very
But like,
hard to
what do
for
they
her to get
do? That's
corrupt.
it. It's almost like, when you're reading a book or a movie and you're like, what is the magic system? It's like
Mm-hmm.
we've lived our entire lives and worshipped Lord of the Rings, me included. I've got like whole different
Yeah,
subjects, but
Yeah.
the magic system has never been described
nothing.
in
Yeah,
any way, shape, or
yeah.
form.
It's just,
We don't know how Gandalf does more than half of the things that he does, and we're like,
Oh, we don't even know how
okay.
magic works.
we
That's what
accept
I'm
it.
saying.
And I've accepted that there's certain people who are just corrupted by the ring. They see it, they want it, they have to
Right,
touch it,
but
they respond
how?
to it.
What
But
is it?
why? I don't know why.
Sort of, but not why. What? What?
I'm
What
gonna be
is
like
it?
John.
What
I'm
is
gonna be
it?
like gender is the thing, because
I'm kind
in
of
in the
getting on
movies nor
with
the
it.
books, I mean, half of it is because Tolkien has barely any women in his
Yeah, there's
fiction.
zero
So,
women. There's like
but I'm like,
two
I
books.
feel like women are so out of this world. We cannot get easily
I maybe it's
corrupted.
in a way, but then the thing is that one of the things
But
that upset
again,
me in the
my
movie
interpretation.
is that is that like Faramir was not tempted by the ring in any way, shape, or form
Hmm.
in the books, and that's why he was one of my favorite characters. But in the movies, they made him tempted, and that's what upset me when that first came out because I was so
Mm.
excited about the casting. I was like, I love the actor. I was just so excited to see Faramir, and then he was totally tempted, and I'm like, the best part about the books is that as soon as he finds out that Frodo has the ring, he's all like, they're like kind of worried. They're like, oh God, is it going to be like his
Hmm.
brother, like, and try and take it?
Hmm.
And he's all like, I'm going to get you supplies. I'm going to get you. Do you guys need men? Do you need this? Like, he literally just is
But
like, get you to Mordor.
I think the change in the movies is because
So they
in the
needed,
books he
no, the change is
respect
completely,
and
I can
he
tell you why.
respect and kind of like loves his brother, but he in the books he never wanted to be a substitution or exactly like his brother. And they may also, I'm coming with this because those are like appendix scenes. They're not in the theatrical movie. So keep in
Look,
mind,
I'm
this is
just
just me
telling you,
being
like,
stupidly overly fan. But in the movies, they make him like he wants to be like Boromir.
he did in the books too.
Mhm.
It just,
Mm.
he respected
It
his
didn't
brother,
read to me
but
like that.
but the reason why they did that is because there's absolutely zero happening with Frodo and Sam for a giant chunk of the
Portion, yeah.
story, and they had to create something to get Frodo and Sam in the movie. And so they decided the easiest way to do that would be to have Faramir be tempted, bring him back to the castle, and then decide to
That's
have his moment and be like, oh, now that I've not tempted anymore, here, you can go. And then they have to go all the way.
honestly, that's
Uh,
just like that's lazy writing because they
yeah.
could have made that just be a general, one of his generals,
Or they could have
that be
made,
like, hey, we have the ring, he's not doing anything. Let me go ahead and tell his
yeah,
daddy,
but they
and we
wanted,
will have
yeah,
been this in the same path.
listen, it's the one
That's
thing that
that's
upset
to
me.
me is lazy writing.
It was made me angry writing. Like, I was
Yeah.
laughing. Which is why I only watch Fellowship when I rewatch. I never watch the other two.
Mm. See, I rewatch a lot Two Towers, which is a little bit of like a strange option from the
All
three.
the movies were great, but like the Faramir thing killed me. So
Well,
Yeah.
I think
Fair.
Faramir is very much at the end of Two Towers. It is just like an introduction,
it
if I
was
remember
the
correctly.
moment, Esther. It was the
In Two
moment.
Towers?
The Two Towers
Why the Phil's in
when
Three
he's
Kings?
tempted,
Return of Kings.
because he's tempted in Two Towers. He's tempted by the ring, and that was so
Now I need
upsetting.
to watch it. An
I know.
excuse to watch
Okay,
Lord of the Rings.
yeah, we need to do a Lord of the Rings watch, guys.
Yeah, well, I'm still only gonna watch.
But also,
It's
I really like Two Towers because of the Helm's Deep. The
Yes,
entire
I
that
agree.
entire
That was
yeah.
sequence and that entire conflict between
yeah. And of course,
the Rohan King
Gandalf
and
white coming.
Aragon, and then
glorious.
like the
No, I mean,
like that
goosebumps.
entire thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
100%.
that entire thing, and also again, Gandalf. How do you work?
I know. Okay, wait, that's what I'm saying. We just have to like
The
accept
magic
it.
system. We have to accept it.
But yeah, but it is one of those
Yeah.
things that it's so funny that it is the root of fantasy, and there's no explanation for any of the magic.
Probably because there is so Sam, that more. It's so like up in the air that it's easy to kind of like manipulate into whatever you want. If you had like very hard, fast rules, like for example, Brandon Sanderson, most of his books, like all of his books, have very
Yes.
not like super hard, but he has like fundamentals.
They're very
laws.
they make sense.
Yes.
He makes them. He can
it will be very hard for other authors to be like, oh, I'm just gonna emulate this and change a bunch of things, and it's like you're already creating your own thing, because just something that has like parameters that you can get inspired by them, but you cannot like do a metaphor, like change it so much and still carry inspiration like you can do Lord of the Rings. Like, elves are a thing because of Lord of the Rings. Have they evolved into so many things?
But mostly they're people, when they think of elves, they think of beautiful, tall, like pointy ears, and no, so much. That's what I'm saying, is so much came from Lord of the Rings, like our modern day fantasy and everything like that. So that's why I find it amusing.
That is so wishy-washy in the magic.
Yeah, then you're just like, what does this ring do again? Tell me again. What does it do? Okay.
There's
I like Esther's thing though.
There is a good and a bad to it, because when you have that softer magic system, you can literally do almost anything.
Yes.
The problem is that what I find, and I find this in sci-fi too, is that if you have a series that's going on and later in the series someone does something that solves a problem, you'll think, wait, why didn't they do that thing, in book at the middle of book 2 to solve this other problem where 5 people died? If they'd have just done this,
it's
why couldn't they? Because the magic system's so soft, you can just
but even when it's hard, like it's like in like Vampire Diaries, it's so convenient what they can hear with their vampire hearing and what they like, because there's so many times where they're in the other room and they're like giving away everything, and they should be able to easily hear that.
I can hear you. What are you doing?
But nope, didn't hear it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like they can like they might be able to dial it down to like a human perspective, but it's not like they can switch their senses like they can switch their humanity. And it's like, do you just turn off your ears? Like, me as a human, I can hear them. What about you?
Yeah, exactly. But but you're okay with it because you're like, oh well, but I kind of want to see how this is gonna go. So I'm kind of glad they're in here. So but
more the drama.
The drama, but and I think it gets a little bit harder. But I love that, like he says, someone can ask him, if you take this minute thing and do this here with such and such a situation with any of his books, he can give a pretty consistent answer, because his magic system is so solid. I'm like, something about that. I'm like, I love that. I love that.
Because I always think of Galaxy Quest when the fans come up to the actors and they're like, excuse me, but in episode 15 when da 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 da, and it's like, he's like, I don't know, it's not real. But
it's like that is a question for the writers, not the actors.
And even then, they wouldn't be able to answer it. That's
it's like, they're like, I was writing in season 2. That was something that they did in season 1. I don't know.
Exactly, that's so true. But yeah, it's just funny because you're like, but when it's the one author, that is the advantage, because if you're the one that created everything, if you thought these through, but it does make me wonder how many times, obviously it'd be fun to ask him, but how many times someone's actually stumped him and he's been like, well, shit. You know what I mean? That would be fun to
Oh,
find out.
man.
Because,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
some
I
people
feel
think
like he
oh,
doesn't get
it's harder.
stalked that much.
He'll just
Or
make it
not
up. I mean, like, if he was truthful, like, if he
Yeah.
didn't say it out loud.
Well, yeah. What is the one thing that what's the one question about your books that someone stumped you
Yes,
on? What
got you.
Yeah.
And then later you're like, I'm just going to explain it in the next book.
everybody's
Yeah.
scouring
I
through
also
scouring through the books trying to like, there it is.
also love the Wheel of Time money flex.
Oh
Be
my
like, yeah,
God.
I
Have
consult,
fun.
so that 100 grand it's gonna pay for a writing retreat in Hawaii. And I'm like, damn, you
Nice.
definitely are at another level.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, 100 grand just for and consulting. And is that per
Consulting.
episode or like for the whole season?
I think it's for the season.
I think it was the entire season or the entire
Okay.
show because he said like he just went once.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Amazon's got a lot of money, so I could see them doing that per episode.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's
Which
really
I wonder how long that consultation was because there have been a lot of criticism for that most recent
And now it's
season.
canceled, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the last season was probably the best and most accurate leading to. Yeah, that's why a lot of people are kind of like upset.
Oh, that's kind of a bummer then.
Yeah.
Like right it's good, it's canceled.
Yeah, it's complicated, but yeah, they took a lot of liberties in the first season thinking that it would be a good enough, and it was. They garnered a pretty decent fan base, but for the book lovers, a lot of the hard and fast book lovers were very upset about the order of things and why is this happening here and why are we spending time getting to know like the warders and stuff like that. But there's pay to me, in my opinion, there's payoff because now you're more invested because he was kind of like telling you the intricacies of things that you just wouldn't have gotten from the book. Could you have just told it straight like the book? I think he probably could have done that too, but you know, they made choices and you know, it is what it is. But yeah, the last season was really,
I mean, such a long series, if they wanted to like tell it in like 4 or 5 seasons, they will have to look at the entire story and not be like book by book. Because it's just like if it's book by book, they might probably need 2 seasons per book, and that will be way too long, too much money. Actors right now are not committing to that long of projects because like they're thinking I'm committed to all of this for so many years. How many other opportunities I'm gonna miss?
Yeah.
Although a lot of actors just want to work, so
true. But also
some don't.
Again,
you're right. Yeah. Exactly.
but also I think like it's the will to work for like a decade, a single project with barely any space for others.
It's
like
weird. Like I know
that's
actors who are both. Like some actors are like, hell no, I don't want to get stuck in a character that long. I need out. And then some people are like, are you freaking crazy? This is a steady job and this can go on forever. This is amazing.
Especially if you can get it where you're filming in 2 months. You know, all of your scenes are shot in a couple of months, so you can go do other projects. A lot of these actors have been doing other projects.
Yeah, like the girls. She's like that. She's all like, why would I ever quit?
Yeah, it's like I'm not getting
yeah.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, I've only seen the first season of the Lord of the Ring one.
I did not like it.
Same.
Yeah.
It was a little slow for me. I can't say I didn't like it, but it was slow.
I did not like it at all.
And the same thing with I keep wanting to say Fire and Ice, but the House of the Dragons.
House of Dragons.
Girl.
Oh my gosh! If I've been waiting when is this stinking battle going to happen? And I know why it's not because I read in the books what's going to happen when it does happen is a lot of characters are going to die. And so, you know, because and I'm not going to say the who's, so they are stretching it out. And it's also because of the who's of you know, it's you know, it's
not that they couldn't just change it if they wanted to.
They actually could just I'm like, what? Just change it if you're worried about losing a lot of characters. Just Go ahead and change it.
You don't have to kill him.
It's not like it's a full.
I mean, they already changed a lot of things from the Game of Thrones series.
Yeah.
And people are gonna love it or hate it either way.
And I think it's
I only saw the first season.
We're used to from Game of Thrones our faves dying, so it's fine. Just it's been how many seasons now? Come on with the same battle that we're still waiting on. I just knew it was gonna happen. I couldn't believe we got to the very end, and I'm like, you drug this out, and we still haven't got to the stinking battle.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I have watched the first season of Lord of the Rings when it came out. I'm probably gonna have to rewatch it to kind of like pick on things. It was low. It's not bad, but I think they're focusing on the
bad.
wrong
What do
characters.
you mean? Let's be honest. It was bad.
I think it was bad. No, I don't think it's bad because I am very invested on Elrond's story. And I'm very invested.
I was so mad because it was so bad.
And I'm very invested in the Numenor story. So like Isildur's story. But then more than half, and also I love my brown elf. Like I gotta
favorite part.
Love my Puerto Rican actor being an elf. I love it.
Until they made his escape, so like his whole thing of how he was trying to escape was so like compelling. Like I was like, oh my god, and then it ended up just getting away and then
not working.
Go. And I'm all like, what? There's just too many moments like that where it's all like, oh, this is about to get good. Oh,
and it doesn't.
I just really.
But my biggest problem with it is like they're focusing too much in Galadriel and who is going to be Sauron eventually. And I'm like, at this point in the Lord of the Rings fandom, no one wanted a Galadriel backstory. Like, and no one wants to humanize Sauron. So why are we spending more than 50% of this season in these two characters?
Yeah, when I'm watching, I'm like, if this.
So I'm like, it's not bad, but it's not great.
But here's the thing,
and this is why I have not watched season 2 because I'm like, am I going to have to suffer through this 2 stories that I don't care about?
And here's the thing: as someone who's been watching all 3, I think Wheel of Times was better than both of those.
Okay,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. I've not seen Wheel of Times at all, so.
I mean, visually it looks very interesting.
Yeah, there are a couple of episodes that were not great. One of them, it's a couple of them solely because of pandemic things that were going on, and you can absolutely tell. And then there's one other episode, I think in the finale of season 2 was really good, but there's just one part that didn't make sense. It was just the way that they shot it and cut it badly. Because you know what I mean? It's just, it was like, it looks weird. It's like, why is this happening right now? I think they should have just literally just cut the scene differently. Would have made all the difference. But other than that, like, I thought it was good and like getting better and better and better. So that's unfortunate. Like, I think that the fandom is hoping that somebody else picks it up. But they finished the 3 seasons that Prime said that they were going to do, and then they're like, even though it's outperforming, like I said, it's outperforming some of the
I just know that Prime spent so much money on it that that's why I don't. If it does get picked up by another streaming, they just have to cut the budget by probably a quarter.
Yeah.
Because I think the only companies right now that could do that amount of money will be Disney, probably through Max, but Disney is cashing so much on Star Wars that they're not gonna
Not
spend
gonna
money on
And
another
and Iger,
series.
Bob Iger has specifically said he's not, like, that's why he got rid of shows that are
Yeah.
already on streaming, because he's not spending any new money on things like that.
Yeah.
So
And then the other place that I
maybe
would think
Apple.
is like Apple
Yeah,
TV, but
Apple
Apple
TV.
TV very rarely does that kind of story. So I'm like, it's not gonna be congruent to what their catalog
Yeah,
is
and
offering
I
right
don't
now.
think something like Netflix
Because
has the budget
no,
that it would look
it
like Shania. It would look
they
like the
might have
Shannara
the
Diary or
budget,
whatever
but
that Shannara.
they might have the budget, but I don't think they're gonna have gray scripts. And I don't think the visuals will be that
Yeah,
good.
oh yeah, no, if they picked it up,
Cause
they would completely, like, it would just go like but it doesn't necessarily matter, because look at something like Lucifer, where Fox was funding it initially, obviously, and they got paid a lot more when they were working on Fox than they did when Netflix picked it up. But Netflix gave them the freedom to write whatever they wanted. It became a better show, and it
it
ended
did.
yeah,
it just ended up, and it ended perfectly, and it was actually a really solid show, whereas Fox meandered. Even though I enjoyed the show, when you watch the seasons that are on Fox, it's a lot of
You can see the difference.
filler. Yeah, it's a lot of, like, it's kind of a little more cartoony, and it's just like, because you're constantly having to deal with the executives, but they're shelling more money, so you kind of, who cares, right? But
yeah,
honestly, lower budget in this case worked better.
benefited.
Yeah.
I didn't notice the
If they
difference
can
in
get
visual
if they
effects.
can get the CGI and the
Yeah.
budget for the graphics to look okay, I think that they might be
And
able to.
nowadays, that's not that hard for a lower budget, which is not good for a lot of the artists.
I know.
But
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Keep everybody
the
employed.
technology is there to make it look good.
Yeah, we went off on some tangents.
This is why you shouldn't have. Don't talk about Lord of the Rings.
Okay, that no Lord of the Rings, no
Vampire
Vampire
Diaries.
It's hard. Like we are lovers of fantasy.
I
Like
know.
such like proud nerds of fantasy as a genre.
Look, I'm about to go to Comic-Con on Wednesday, so I'm really excited.
Oh my gosh! Yay! That'll be so much fun.
I will go to all the booths for all of us.
Yes, take all the pictures so we can live vicariously through you, Becca.
Yes.
All right, let's do our final thoughts on this one, so we can go ahead and wrap it up. I enjoyed it. Last week's is a must watch. This dovetails perfectly. It's literally the perfect follow up to last week's, and yeah, this one gets a thumbs up, especially after the last one, after lecture 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lecture 5's 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it was still like really great for me without having seen that. So now I'm really excited to see last week's, because I feel like it's gonna like kind of put together everything like that. I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting in this lecture, and then I'm gonna see like the more fleshed out version of it. So I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah. I think this is a lesson that by itself is not bad, but definitely needs the previous lesson.
But it didn't.
It kind of like it kind of like goes hand in hand.
Okay.
Like again, it's not a bad lesson to watch on its own.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it gets better when you have the previous lecture knowledge.
Excited.
And it's just for the explanation of what iconic characters are, and the few conversations they had about villains and motivation for villains. This lesson, it's worth the hour and 50 minutes. I mean, some people might skip some parts that they don't necessarily care, but just for those two topics, you cannot. This is not a skippable lesson, but definitely it benefits from lecture 5.
Okay. Yeah, and also for anybody who's trying to make their characters different, when you're trying to make multiple POVs, he touched on that a couple of times in this one with some very helpful tips on making those characters different, and trying not to make them be cliches or stereotypes while doing it.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
this
good.
was pretty good. So yeah.
I like he said like maybe if you absolutely want to do multi POV, start with two, so
Mhm.
you can grow the muscle of like switching characters
Yeah.
and honing on two voices at the same time. I
Yeah.
was like, that is legit a good advice for practice for writing
Mhm.
practices. Um, it's
And the
not like
practicing,
you have to do it, but
yeah.
if you want to get better at POV, start here.
Yeah, and practicing make with three characters doing that exercise where you have each of the three characters talking and see if
Talking.
that you can follow who is talking without saying
I
Jan
like
said
that.
or
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good that is a
Like
good
it.
exercise.
This was a very practical lecture for characters,
Hmm.
while the previous lesson was more of, I don't want to say academic, but it's more like the bones that you need for a character and how to like
Okay.
slowly build muscle. And then here you can build more muscle and start maybe getting some skin and some like texture and
Okay.
things like that. So that's why I say like they have to come together,
Yeah.
because it just makes sense. It
Yeah.
will be better for a writer if you're struggling with characters to watch them both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also excited for, I don't know if we're gonna watch it here, but I'm excited for the Romans and the indie publishing lesson.
Yeah, that sounds
Uh
interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at it. So guys, it is on Brandon Sanderson's website. So if
Okay.
I want to watch it, is it in a video form or is it just
yeah,
audio?
it is in a
It's a
video
video
form.
form. Okay,
Okay.
so what I'll probably do is I'll just link to that on Brandon's
Okay.
website. You know how I'm linking his
Yeah,
lecture
yeah,
in
yeah.
the chat. So I'll link it there. It's not more than an hour, is it?
I let me look. I don't
I think
recall.
my timer goes up to
One
about an
second.
hour 15. So we should be good as long as it's not too much over an hour. And I'll just link
Full
that and we'll watch
playlist.
that with the
It's an hour and 13 minutes.
okay, perfect, perfect. So we'll do it. We'll
Yeah.
do it the same way, but when the link is going to go to Brandon Sanderson's website. So don't freak out if you click on the link and you're like, I'm off of YouTube. It's fine. It's Brandon Sanderson. We trust him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna send you anywhere weird.
I'm excited because I do recognize Becky Monson books. And I'm like, ooh,
Yes, this
now
will
I'm
be.
even more excited. And
Yeah.
also, Sanderson's Law. It's been a while since I read the
Yes,
laws,
laws
and
of
I'm like,
magic.
I need
Yes.
a refresher of
When
how
he said that,
interesting,
I actually got excited.
ridiculous, and it makes sense are the
Yeah.
laws.
Yeah, when he said he was going to be going over that, and then following when he returns. So that'll be lecture not 8,
7.
lecture 8, oh lecture 7.
Well, lecture
Well,
7
okay,
because the other one is not in the main
yeah,
playlist.
it's not
So,
marked. So we'll.
Nia, you're
Mhm.
gonna love lessons 8 and 9 because it's world building.
Yes, my fave.
Like
Yay.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, after the loss, we're gonna get to world building. Great, love
That'll be
it.
so much fun. All
Yay.
right. So lots to look forward to, guys. I think the only one that we're skipping, and we're not skipping, we're just not going to be on that Monday, is
Mhm.
the Labor Day weekend,
Right.
September
Which is, I think,
1st. Where's
yeah,
my calendar?
September 1st is, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
So we won't be on that Monday, but 2 weeks after that we'll be back. And how many lectures do we have?
I don't know.
Counting the romance one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to go.
Oh,
6 to
okay.
go. All right.
Yeah.
Ooh, it'd be like
That's
back.
right.
It would be like back to school after Labor Day.
I know.
We're taking summer classes right now, and then we'll be back to school after
Yeah.
Labor Day.
So we
a lot
should
of
be
fun.
back on August 4. Is that the
Yeah,
next
that's
one?
what I have. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
August
Awesome,
4. Wait, why is mine? August 4, August 18th. So we'll do those two. Then we'll be off August 1st. and then we'll be back we'll be off September 1st, and we'll be back September 15th and 29th.
Woo!
Yeah. All right, guys. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you, Becca and Esther. This has been fun, fun, fun. I'm going to play a little Loki so we don't have to wait forever. And we'll see you back next time. Bye.
Bye.